going, everyone? Paul with Adaptable Survival. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm actually heading out to do a winter camp out. Be a little bit different. We're going to make ourselves a Thermal Wikiup. Essentially, it's going to be a teepee, and I'm going to use extra large emergency space blanket to use as my walls, and then I'll be able to have a little bit of fire on the inside, so it should stay pretty warm. We were looking at about 20s tonight, and I think about a high of about 30 today. Seen some snow in the forecast, so just hitting the woods now. It's about 1 o'clock, so got a few hours of light left. Need to get out here, find my poles to set up my wiki up, and then get that wall in there and get a little bit of fire going. Stick with me as we get this going. Alright, so I just stopped down here by the creek just to verify I'm going to have a water source for the night. It's just going to be easy enough to go right down the creek, collect up some water, boil it up in my MSR wind burner. It'll be really effective. Shouldn't run out of water tonight. I have a couple of different canteens with me to keep enough water for the night. But what I'm also grabbing down here is I grabbed some of this dried grass. So this is really going to be a good flash tinder. You're definitely going to want to use this with some smaller kindling and stuff to get your fire going. So I'm going to collect up some of this around here. So I'm just going to collect up some of this just so I have it, so I don't have to backtrack and come back and grab any. Alright, so made it to a spot I camped at a few weeks back. I did a hammock overnight over here. I filmed some of that. Not sure if I'm going to release that though. Still kind of contemplating that over. But anyway, it's what we're doing today. Got to the spot, which is around. Should provide us a big enough area to set up our wiki-up, our thermal wiki-up. Just looking around at some of the resources. I do have a lot of the posts in this area that I'm going to need to set up the structure of my wiki-up, but it's right off the trail, so I want to try to eliminate as much harvesting from this area as possible. I'd prefer to use some more dead standing stuff, but it doesn't look like I have too much in the way of the posts I'm going to need. So I'm going to have to search around a little bit, all in this back area here, to try and find some that are roughly about twice my height for the 8.5 by 12 Arc'teryx XL blanket. Sorry, get my finger out the way. The XL Survival blanket, emergency blanket, whatever you want to call it, to use that. So I'm going to drop my pack, kind of scout around real quick. I'll bring you guys back in a minute here. Alright, so I was able to track down my first post. It's going to be roughly, kind of look at that. So basically, like if I'm going to make the OK symbol, that's about the diameter that I'm going to be searching for. I'm going to need at least 3 to get my wiki up started, and then maybe an additional 3 to kind of fill in the gaps, maybe even just 2, just to get enough structure so I can wrap it around with that thermal blanket. All right, so I grabbed my 3 posts that I'm going to need for my wiki-up. Ideally, you want to get those to be as straight as possible. I had to kind of just hurry quick fast and find something since I don't have very much daylight left, and I still need to construct the wiki-up plus collect some firewood. Thankfully, since I'll be having a pretty small fire the entire night, since I don't need a large one inside the wiki-up itself, I can get away with collecting some smaller stuff, and then throughout the night if I get up and have to go to the bathroom, whatnot. But I'm just going to grab a quick snack quickly because I haven't eaten yet today. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll bring you guys back in a bit. Alright, since we got those posts, we're going to want to shorten those up so they're all pretty uniform. This one being the shortest one, which is roughly about twice my height. The other 2 I cut a little bit longer just to kind of give me that leeway. So I think that should be big enough. Might have a little excess of the emergency spice blanket hanging off around the edges, but that'll be perfectly fine. We'll kind of make do with how it is. I've never used this XL blanket before, so it's a 8.5 by 12 foot blanket compared to the 5x7 that I normally work with. So we'll see how this one turns out. Let me get these shortened up real quick, and then we'll start getting that tripod lash going. The reason why you want these posts to be as straight as possible is when you go to make your tripod lash, it just makes bringing those bindings a little bit together, bring them together a little bit easier. As you can see, they kind of splinter off here at the top, so I have kind of a good spot there to kind of get this tripod lash going. And I just have some paracord that I usually have in my pack. So what I'm going to do is just kind of improvise this a little bit. Kind of make a quick lashing. So I got my bowline on one end here. Just wrap this around here. So this won't be a traditional tripod lash where we make our whippings and whatnot. I'm just going to try and improvise just a quick lashing just so we can get the shelter up and start the construction. Get this branch out of here. Toggle off a dead branch nearby. It should be plenty strong enough to use for what we're doing. We want to pull that nice and tight. I'm going to wrap this around a couple more times. This damn branch. Just try to keep that cord right on top of each other. Just makes for a neater appearance. Then we just keep pulling that tighter every time we come around. Because this paracord is going to stretch over time, so I'm not too concerned about any of that. And on this one, just going to make ourselves a clove hitch. end of that. Pass it through that X. Hopefully this is all coming through on the video for you guys. Let me just dress that up a little bit. Now it's for the moment of truth. It'll give us an idea of how tall this is going to be when we have it set up, as well as allow me to make the adjustments I need once we actually have the frame in place. See here in a second. All right, so now that we got the basic construction of our wiki up, what I'm going to need to do is find a few posts to put through these openings on the sides so I can create some walls. So once I wrap this with that emergency Arc'teryx XL blanket, I'll be able to create more of a circular shape. I'm going to leave a side open to make a doorway, just so I can get in and out, grab more firewood, go to the bathroom, that sort of thing at night. But yeah, it didn't quite work out exactly how I was thinking of it in my head. And with that tripod lashing that I used, that's just a real simple, using some real simple knots. The bow line to kind of lock it in to begin with, wrap it a few times, pulling it tight with every rotation around those 3 posts, and then just tying it off with a clove hitch. It's just a simple knots that you learn throughout the basic class, and just some beginner stuff to kind of improvise and experiment with different shelter building. Is this something you can use all the time? Definitely. You just got to get creative with how you use knots and building shelters. There's no one right way to do it. You just got to play around with it and experiment. Okay, a little update as I'm moving along here. Vastly overestimated the size that this tarp would cover, so I had to shrink down my wiki up a little bit. I'm just tying off one end. I think I'm going to keep my doorway right here. I'm going to continue wrapping this around, and then we'll see what adjustments we need to make as we're going around. So I had to adjust plans a little bit since that tarp didn't cover as big of a structure that I had in mind. I will probably have to get a second one of these to try and attempt to make that bigger one. But as you can see, I kind of improvised and adjusted to what I had. I don't have complete coverage. From the wind, but I have it from the majority of sides. What I'll probably end up doing is just taking my pack and putting it right here, having a fire out here, having some of that ambient heat bounce around inside of there. Should be plenty of warm tonight, so I'm just going to have to collect a good amount of firewood to kind of keep that going all night long. I'm going to mess around with this a little bit more, kind of straighten things out, kind of clean things up a little bit, throw my sleeping pad in there, kind of get a rough idea of what kind of structure we're going to be looking at for tonight. Alright, so she ain't pretty, but it should do for the night. I'll try and get that fire in as close as I can right here to really get a lot of that heat coming in here. This ground is a little too hard where I can't really make much of a reflector, which kind of sucks and kind of makes this a little more challenging, but I'll just work with it, try to get that fire, like I said, as close in here as I can. That's a view from the inside out. So I'll have some open spot here, which I may put some firewood there, use as my door, that sort of thing, and then just have the fire go right across here. Should collect a good amount of that heat. I really closed in the top as best as I could, so should do the trick tonight. So we will see, give it a shot. Worst case scenario, if it gets a little too damn cold out, I can always bail, which it's not what I want to do, but you know, sometimes when you're experimenting with shelters and trying something for the first time, you always got to have that safety net of taking off if you need to. I'm going to try and collect up some firewood, and then we'll get the fire started. Simple enough. Get that going. Alright guys, so got the shelter set up, got our long fire going. What the benefit of that is since you have that fire spread out, keep it low, don't need a raging bonfire, should be able to keep that going through the majority of the night just by keeping logs on the fire. Got some smaller stuff, got some larger stuff. I just have that easily accessed to my side here. So what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a little bit of dinner. One of the meals I brought with me is a Pickerfield beef pasta marinara. Just a freeze-dried meal, but it's calorie dense. It's 990 calories in here, 59 grams of fat, 50 grams of protein, and 49 grams of 50 grams of carbs and 49 grams of protein. So I'm going to get some water going. I have my MSR wind burner, so I just picked this up within the last week or so. So I want to see how this does. Just have a can of gas for that. Probably have some coffee along with that. Try to get some footage of that if you guys want, and just get that ready, and then kind of kick back for the night and get into a couple other things. Alright, so it's been about 10 minutes. Check that out. See if you guys can get that in the camera there. Pretty damn good to me. Let's give this a shot. Oh yeah, it's pretty good. Not bad. I did have one of I think it was a chicken parmesan, something along those lines, during the summer in one of my videos. I think I like that one a little bit more, but this is still pretty damn good. I'm gonna eat this up, guys, clean up a little bit, and then I'll bring you guys back in. Alright, so I finished up dinner. or somewhat dinner. Since I fasted the majority of the day, all I've had was that snack when I first got to camp. That little meal there. I'll probably have possibly another meal a little bit later, and then something just before I go to bed. What I'll have before bed, I'll show you guys for sure, because it's just a cold weather tip that I like to use to stay warmer through more of the night. But yeah, we're just testing out this shelter. Had a little bit of snowfall and it came through the top. Not a big deal. With this long fire I have going on, anything that fell down basically evaporated or turned to moisture right away. Not too bad in here. Something to kind of note that next time I come out, obviously I'm going to bring a secondary 8.5 by 12 tarp so I can make this bigger, so I can have the fire on the inside, because it's going to drastically change how hot it is in here, plus how dry it is as well, because with having this doorway going in and out here, it is getting a little wet. The bottom of my pants are a little wet. My boots are definitely wet from trekking through the snow. If I was able to have a fire inside of here, it'd work the same way as if I was using a hot tent. So it, at first things will be a little wet, but after an hour or two, things will start to dry out. I don't have to worry as much. So that's something I think I'm going to explore down the road here when we can do a little bit more shelters with this. Something I wanted to dive into and bring to the channel this year. Get some of my crap out the way. So a part of Adaptable Survival is obviously the gear, and you see the pack I'm using, tarp I'm using, different stuff like that. Put gearhead, just like anyone else that likes to hit the outdoors. So that's a mainstay in my philosophy. Developing your body, so staying physically fit. Whatever degree that is applicable to you. By no means have to be like an athlete or be an NFL running back, anything crazy like that. Just staying physically fit so you can function at your best when you're out in the woods and in an emergency situation. If you can't walk to the end of your block without keeling over, you definitely need to improve your cardiovascular. But that third leg of adaptable survival in my philosophy is developing your mind. And that's something I do all the time, whether that's from watching new videos, learning new things, taking courses. But a big thing I do is read books. So this one is Geronimo Leadership Strategies of an American Warrior by Mike Leach and Buddy Levy. Mike Leach, he is a college football coach. I believe he's at Washington State now. Was at Texas Tech. Pretty interesting guy once I watched some videos up on him. Definitely, a pretty unique character to say the least. But about this book, I read this about 2 weeks ago. Read another book, so I'm trying to get on the train of reading more, because I did slack on that. But something I wanted to touch on was just a few points out of this book, because the main idea behind it is it's a leadership book, but it basically tells the story of Geronimo and the fight of the Apaches. Towards the end of when Native Americans were forced into reservations, the Apaches were actually the final tribe to be fighting against having to do that. But something interesting with this book is it talked about a few of the characteristics that I believe that transfer over to the outdoor community, survival, emergency, whatever you want to call it. They trained to be physically fit. I believe there's a part in the book where they talked about they ran something like 90 miles in one day to get to a stronghold or a hideout. I can't remember exactly the situation, but they continuously ran and really honed in on that skill so they wouldn't tire. So when they warred with other tribes or against the government or whoever the government sent after them, they were able to get away because they had the endurance to keep going. And that's a big thing with how I approach my physical fitness, is having the endurance to be able to keep going even when you're feeling like crap. In the advanced course that I just took a few months back, because I trained my body to have really good endurance to keep going, even though I was dehydrated for the first 2 days, like severely. I think I had 80 ounces of water, and for a guy my size, how much I sweat, I know that that's probably roughly about half of what I should be getting in a single day. So if you split that over 2 days, I was struggling, but because I trained my body to handle stressful situations and handle that stress, I was able to keep pushing it. Mentally is obviously going to be the hardest part about any course, any survival situation. You know, that is extremely hard to replicate, but being able to reinforce your mindset through reading about, you know, different people or organizations. Like for me, I like reading about Native American history. I like reading a lot about LRPs and reconnaissance units from Vietnam, as well as special operations, and a lot of military history books, stuff like that. That's where I find a lot of inspiration and try and mimic some of the things that they do to keep themselves at a top performing level when they're out in the field, when they're in it, and, you know, chips are on the table. Finding what they're doing to keep pushing themselves is something I'm always looking for. As these overnights going on, I'll probably pop in with some more book recommendations, a few things, probably nothing that'll give away any spoilers to the book, but some interesting stuff in there that you guys can pick up on and go check out if you want. I'm gonna just chill out by the fire, maintain it a little bit more, try to get a little bit more heat in here, dry out my pants a little bit before I call it a night. Alright guys, so just wrapping up for the night. Fire's kind of died down, but I got enough wood to stack up to keep me warm for hopefully another couple of hours while I'm getting ready to go to bed here. But what I wanted to share with you guys, something that you can do when it's cold outside, or when you're camping out in the winter, before you head to bed. If you eat something high in fat and protein, along with it being spicy, that's going to help your body warm up and produce heat while you're sleeping. So I have a jalapeno cheddar bacon, I have a habanero heat strip of bacon, and then I have some sweet and spicy beef jerky. So something to keep in mind is fat is a slow burning energy source, and then the protein, it actually takes more energy than fat or carbs to burn, so your body ends up generating more heat while you're burning off that protein and then slowly burning up that fat as well. So I like to do that before I go to bed at night. So I'm probably gonna mow down on those quickly, go run my garbage bag down the trailways, just so I don't attract any animals. Haven't had that issue ever, but it's just something I like doing, this peace of mind. I do have some predators up in Wisconsin here. Shouldn't have to worry about bears about this time of year, but definitely have coyotes, wolves, and a few other things out there. So I'm just gonna mow down those quick, run that down, get the fire stoked up again, and then get my bedding set up for the night. I will catch you guys in the morning for some coffee. All right, everyone. So I just woke up a little while ago. It's about 6:30 now. Threw the last firewood on the fire since it was dying down. Last night, you know, woke up about every hour or so, throw more fire on the wood, or more wood on the fire. Excuse me, I haven't had coffee yet, so the brain's not quite working. Don't think there's anyone that can really change my mind. These Thermal fold mats, these things are uncomfortable as hell. I might see what other options are out there, possibly even run 2 of them next time I do a camp out like this, just because my side's killing now. So basically laying on my side towards the fire the majority of the night, so my left hip is sore as hell. So I might check that out. If you guys got any recommendations for a pad that's not gonna, I don't have to worry about bursting if ember falls on it, let me know. I'll check that out. Other than that, I think it's time for some coffee. Alright, so I'm having some coffee made up. I'm having some Pico Blanca, probably by far my favorite instant coffee out there. Typically, I usually just drink black coffee, but since I came across these Capicos, a few people recommended them to me, and I really like them. They're a 3-in-1 coffee, so they got creamer and sugar in them, which normally I don't do, but just a nice little pick-me-up in the morning. Tastes really good. Sorry, I'm not really functioning right now. I'm not normally up this early. Only time I ever am when I'm out here on the woods, or if I have to work early in the morning or teach a class. Or but yeah, last night slept all right. Like I said, probably up every hour throwing wood on the fire, which if you're sleeping next to a long fire, that's just what you're gonna have to do. There's really no way around it. Even if you're staying in a hot tent, you're gonna have to wake up through the night and throw wood in there. But the added benefit is, that hour or so of sleep that I got was really good. I did have to harvest some stuff last night, some larger stuff, so I could kind of sleep a little bit longer. Definitely since my game plan changed with making this shelter smaller, I brought just a silky pocket boy. I think from now on, anytime in the winter, I'll probably just bring either my Spring Creek, my 21-inch saw, or a regular size silky, or maybe even a silky big boy. Guess it just depends on the loadout, what I want to do for that trip. The pack I was using, it's Marine Corps ILB. It's actually the Recon version, so it's a little bit different from the general issue ILB that you see out there. These ones are pretty rare to come by. I actually got this one brand new. I think the only thing I had to do was get a new belt for it, because there was some minor discoloration on one of the straps, which I could have used it that way, but my little OCD kicked in, and I had to put a new belt on it just to calm my senses. But I like it a lot. I have about 40 pounds in there dry weight, so definitely carries it really easy. I mean, the thing's rated to carry up to 120 pounds. Probably never ever gonna push it to that limit, but I like it. I mean, yeah, it's not the lightest pack out there, but damn thing's indestructible, damn near. So probably one of my more favorite packs. Other than that, what I think I'm gonna do down the road is I'm gonna pick up another one of these tarps, and I'm gonna actually try and make a bigger wiki-up, so we can actually enclose it, or enclose it more than we could at this one, so I could have a smaller fire inside, which I think would help a lot more to sleep a lot better at night. Don't have to tend the fire quite as much, because even if it goes down the coals, bouncing around in here with that heat those coals are generated, I think it'll be more than enough. Other than that, pretty good trip, just out experimenting with a few ideas, some new pieces of gear. Sometimes you strike gold, and sometimes you gotta wing it and adapt to what's happening on the fly. Well guys, I'm just gonna finish up this coffee, start breaking down this shelter. attempt to get this tarp back in that bag. It's got a few burn holes in it from the night, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, I'm just gonna pack up camp, hit the road, and then I'll see you guys in another video. As always, it's been Paul with Adaptable Survival. Adapt your mind, your body, and your gear.